What do you think, as far as in your opinion, the mental aspect, why BJJ practitioners hesitate to even learn takedowns?
I think a lot of it is, people like the more you do something, the more entrenched in that thing you become. So if you practice takedowns your whole life and you spend very little time on the ground, it is difficult for you to make that transition because your ego is hurt. You're an alpha male in one arena and you're a beta one in the other. And it's a very hard blow for people with big egos, right? So if you're very good at footlocks are the most important thing in jiu-jitsu. But if you suck at footlocks are not real jiu-jitsu. So a lot of these decisions on how we train are emotionally based. They're not really practically based. So the practicality goes out the window. It's more the emotion of how I feel about those takedowns that determine how I'm going to train. So there's a lot of that. I think that, most Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners, they get to purple belt and they've never do any stand-up. And when you get to that stage of their jiu-jitsu life, let's say purple belt, and they have zero stand-up, it is very hard to get them to train it because they beat everyone in the gym. So how are you going to go? I've been beating most people. Like, how can you tell me that what I'm doing is not good enough? Right. So how do you get them to change? Because people lose their, I call it the white belt hat, right? You have your white belt hat and you walk in the gym. I don't know anything. Pray, teach me. And somewhere along the way, people lose that. Not everyone, I think the true champs, they keep that hat on their whole lives. But I think the majority of people, they lose it somewhere along the way. And it becomes increasingly difficult to teach them anything new. It's an uphill battle. Like I kind of figure out a way to how to win that battle in my gym. I made it about like as a habit, like about 20% of our classes stand up. And that doesn't seem like a lot if you come from judo. Trust me, if you're coming from Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's way above average. Most gyms don't spend 5% of their effort on standing.
Yeah. We have the same format here. We do our jiu-jitsu, standard jiu-jitsu stuff through, our regular class. And then we have at the end of class, we do about 20 minutes of takedowns, and we call it judo, but really the way that we structure it is more what, like I've coined the phrase judo for jiu-jitsu. So we're dealing with that posture and we're dealing with the stances and stuff that you'd find in jiu-jitsu rather than the Olympic judo format with that. But I think it's, our students are pretty accustomed to it. It's just part of their normal practice, it kind of has to be if you want them to be good at it. So what advice would you give for, let's say a beginner, and then also maybe on the flip side, a more advanced guy who, decides that they need to learn takedowns, but they're kind of hesitant to it. What advice would you give them to get into that?
It's challenging. Like, just look at the challenge. Like, there's merit in throwing someone with an Uchimata. Like, it's fun. Like, it's enjoyable. Like, when you hit your first one, you're like, yes. It's kind of like hitting off a submission, and learn how to enjoy those moments. And I didn't enjoy when I was coming up. I never cared. Now later, when I start hitting them in MMA, that's like, oh man, that was awesome. I can't believe I just did that. And you want to do it again, And find the joy in taking someone down, not just from a practical and performance perspective, but also, perhaps for your own vanity, if that's if that's permissible. Like, I took you down, and it make you feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that people just got to step out of their comfort zone. It's a very difficult thing to do because I think that people have increasingly become addicted to comfort. I think this is a trend not just in martial arts, but human civilization as a whole. We're obsessed with comfort, and everything has to be easy. And and gyms are one of the few environments where people are looking to be uncomfortable. It's the coach's job to push them, but it's a difficult balance when you're running a business. You see, if I were the coach at the Olympic Training Center, I wouldn't care what you think and feel. It's like, if you don't want the spot, out the door, I'll bring someone new who really wants that spot. And if I tell them to jump off that building, they'll do it. But when you're dealing with customers, like, and your student starts asking for a belt, all of a sudden you're under pressure. Like, you know what I want to tell him. I know what I want to say, but I can't. I don't want to lose a student. So you gotta play the game, and it's awful. I hate it. I mean, that's the part of running a business that I hate, is just that the whole dynamic of sensei and student has been flipped on its head. And now it's, business and the customer is always right. But we're talking martial arts here. How can the customer be right? Right? It's very contradictory. And it's a problem that martial artists have not solved. We have been unable to solve that. I've never seen a solution to that problem. You just got to try to strike the balance. I talk to my students. I try to tell them the importance of, like, if you're uncomfortable, That's when you're making most progress. Like when you're running and your cardio is about to break and you want to collapse, but you run for another mile, that's when your cardio is really being pushed to the next level, because uncomfort correlates with progress, right? And you like if you say that enough, they begin to internalize it. But it's an uphill battle because you're going against a lifetime of seeking to be comfortable. Air conditioning's got to be the right temperature. Car's got to be comfortable. It can't be too hot. It's too hot in my car, so and then like the bed's got to be the right bed, that the foam has a memory, and like everything we do in life, we're so used to comfort, right? And the second you say it's better for you if you're uncomfortable, it's like you're contradicting everything they've done and believed their whole life. So it's an uphill battle, but I think it's necessary and worthwhile to win that battle. I think they will thank you at the end. I think at the end of their journey, they're going to look back and remember you as their best coach.